Started in about 30 seconds. Sue Grace says hi from Canada. Hadassah says shalom from Tulsa. Is everyone tired? Janelle Ali Dinar, blessings and shalom from Nebraska. Ruth, hello from Minnesota. Cookie from Efrat. Okay, let us know where you are. We're staring at our faces. Boker Tov, Sheila from Los Angeles. Maureen from South Africa. Good. Keep the introductions coming. Okay, without further ado, I am very excited to bring to you a brand new guest and someone I've never interviewed before. Nechama Sarah Burgeman. She is going to be talking about the Kabbalistic model for world peace. She is an author, a teacher, a spiritual therapist, an artist, and a musician who's been living in Israel for the past 40 years. I was just telling her right before I started talking here that I saw her first book in many of the homes of many of my friends in Crown Heights, New York, many years ago. And they always looked so intriguing. And for some reason, I did not make for myself the chance to read them. Now I am really looking forward to doing that because she's impacting a lot of people. And her work is simultaneously bringing out new insights and new angles, completely different from Torah, and also in a way that provides healing for the body as well as for the mind. Okay, so she is Phi Beta Kappa, Phi Kappa Phi, degrees in cultural anthropology, minor in art history, a passion for world cultures. Eventually, upon arriving in Israel, she redirected her studies to Hasidut and Kabbalah, the inner Torah, where she explored the depths of the meaning of 12 tribes of Israel and their Kabbalistic significance. And she has also developed a unique innovative therapy based on the 12 tribes of Israel, our genetic heritage. And since you can check out the rest of her bio on the speaker page, you really should, but we'll know a lot more about her once we've concluded this call. So Nechama Sarah, I just don't want to take away from the wisdom that you're going to be sharing by reading more of your amazing accomplishments and your work. What is the deal with the number 12?
Well, I want to build up to my Kabbalistic model. So the number 12, can I just give a little more background before I get
Yes, absolutely. Please do. Please do. I know you have diagrams for us. I know of the impact that your work has on individuals, especially through one of my closest friends who attributes a lot of healing to her work with you, physical healing as well as other kinds of healing. And I know that your work it's a fractal. Your models are fractal for the individual healing and also for world healing. Yes? So I just want to make sure everybody understands that. And this is true. I'll give the floor to you in one moment. Just for the listeners, it's really true of all things in Torah, although Torah mostly describes the journey of the Jewish people and the laws for the Jewish people, although it also includes laws for all people and so forth. But it is a fractal model for the carriers of the Torah that can be extended out to every human being in every nation of the world, and probably surely the entire cosmos. That's what a fractal is. So really important to listen for what it means to you personally and what it means to your world. Okay, Sarah.
Thank you. As we are building the model, you will see it's not an inclusive model for just Israel. It really encompasses the whole world, all of humanity. So we'll see how that works. So I wanted to start with one of the most beautiful teachings for the Arizal in the Sefer HaGilgulim, the Book of Reincarnations. He says that all of our souls were bound up in the primordial original soul of Adam and Eve. All of us have the same core collective source. And as we are approaching the Geula, and everybody here who is even showed up here is really starting to pulsate with this subliminal layers in our soul to this collective neshama, this collective soul that we all share. So I wanted to start out with really feeling that we are really one soul. And then we have to understand, how do we, in the redemptive process, reclaim that oneness, but in a way that's even higher than the level of Gan Eden, of the Garden of Eden. So we have from our sources, Sefer Yetzirah, the Bahir, which I'm going to show the chart soon of where our model is going, that are going to really help give us the vision to redirect ourselves to come and claim this level of unity that the redemption is calling for us to do. So the Arizal goes on, the Holy Arizal, the Kabbalistic master, goes on to explain something very deep. Maybe some of us are familiar with, before a world was created, before Adam and Hava were created, there was a world, a primordial preceding world called the world of Tohu, the world of chaos. It was a world where light and vessels did not match. The light was too much for the vessels, and there was a shattering. This is a whole teaching in itself. I just want to touch upon it, how it builds up to the model we're working with. So at the same time that Adam and Hava was created, there was this like metaphorical Adamic consciousness that was created simultaneously. And the Kabbalah calls it Adam Bali Ol, man without a yoke. It was a very high transcendent consciousness that, but didn't have a sense of what a creator was. But Adam and Hava had a very intimate relationship with their creator. They were just totally aware of creator and creation. So when we ate from the tree of knowledge of good and bad, there was a shadow.
May I just ask one question? So you're saying this light without boundaries had an intense, unlimited self-awareness, but not an awareness of something higher than it? Would you describe it that way?
I don't know if we can say intense self-awareness. It had a transcendent. I feel safe saying a transcendental awareness, and not awareness of a creator. So let's just.
So moving into the Garden of Eden to a lower level, that's where the awareness of the creator got introduced into the universe creation.
Yeah, without qualifying it like lower or higher, it was just a different consciousness. So when our collective one soul shattered, when we ate from the tree of knowledge of good and bad, there was we all splintered. We're all like chips off the old block, right? And we all splintered, and there was this intermingling of consciousness of Adam Belial and Adam and Hava's consciousness. So we all have this intermingling. There's a part of us that can throw off the yoke of heaven, and there's a part of us that wants to just go into transcendence and not deal with this world and deal with the relationship with the creator. So depending if you're in the, according to Jewish law, in the category of non-Jew or Jew, Israel or the nations, Israel is more of the consciousness of Adam and Hava, and in the world of tikkun, of fixing what happened in that breakage. The souls that are more sourced in the world of tohu, of this transcendental consciousness, is the consciousness of the nations. They're more sourced in that consciousness. So we need a dialogue. We need from each other, and we'll see how that evolves, how that dialogue evolves. So there's this mixture. We all have all of the, both consciousnesses within us to varying degrees. Okay, so with that said, with that background, so how do we all get together again? How do we all find this unity again? The beauty of what we had to go through for the past 5,782 years is that we all had a rich life of free choice. And when we come to this unity again, it's going to come from free choice, and it's going to be from a higher level than our initial consciousness of God in the Garden of Eden. So we have Kabbalistic models that are going to direct us to this unity again in a very sensitive and deep way. Somebody asked a question about the different consciousness. Okay, I'm going to explain that as we go along. So-
I'd like to jump. I'd like to jump in, and if you don't mind, then you can tweak what I just want to say something about the nations, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah. So there are different roles for Israel and the nations. That's what Nechama is saying, and it's not that we're not all here for the same end, for the same purpose. We each have our own roles, just like there's a different role for me and for Nechama and for you and for whatever, and then there are different roles for women and men, even though we have. Every woman has male in her and every man has female in him, and these are also archetypes and these are also energies. So there's there's specific point counterpoint roles for Israel and the nations. One of the things that I personally heard, that I think similar to what Nechama said, that the main job from Yaakov, Jacob, and his children who became the receivers of the Torah is to carry the Torah, to incubate it, to prove it, to keep it alive and keep our connection to it alive, and elaborate, dig deeper into it throughout all of the millennia of where the world was trying to fight against it. And now that has ripened, whatever we were doing there, now the world is ready to receive it. And at this point, I heard that the primary purpose, obviously everybody has everybody. It's a holographic universe, but the primary purpose of the descendants of Jacob, of the Jewish nation of Israel, is to bring this higher light, this divine light to the world, which is now getting ready to receive it. And the primary
the consciousness of the creator and creation.
Right, Jacob and Esau, the primary mission of the non-Jewish nations, which are mostly personified by Esau. They're twin brothers, Jacob and Esau. So that primary mission is to bring justice and righteousness to the world. And it's interesting what you said, Nechama, you said that the Jews are busy with fixing. I was thinking when you were talking about this blial, this consciousness that is unlimited, it seems like that quality of the nations is to spread out, to conquer, to expand, whereas the quality of the Jewish people is to, more to try to dig in to what we already have.
So I want to get to my model now, so that I think it'll become clearer. So I appreciate.
Okay, so we'll keep questions for a little bit.
These are very deep concepts, but okay, these are questions. If we can hang in there, we're going to, God willing, these models will help you understand what this whole relationship is about. So the Sefer Yetzirah, one of the oldest Kabbalistic books, describes the metaphysical infrastructure of the universe with the archetype shape of a cube. That means that everything in this world has 6 sides. The chairs you're sitting, the tables, our bodies up, down, right, left, front, back. So it can be understood in the shape of a cube. Okay. Now the interesting thing about this cube is there's 12 edges to the cube. Okay, so I don't want to stay in our head. This is going to become very organic, I promise you. This is something to guide us. So you can just imagine sitting in the middle of a transparent cube. And these are just energy lines that are keeping heaven and earth flowing together. So we can just sit, just imagine ourselves and put our hands in our heart, really make this a heart exercise. We're trying to really bring unity and the end of suffering and the Geula consciousness all together right now. So let's just breathe and just imagine these energy lines. These 12 energy lines are really composed of 12 divine pipelines, right? And they are composed of the souls of the 12 tribes of Israel. This is what our Kabbalah is telling us. So let's just breathe that in. There was a beautiful midrash, an oral teaching that said Adam was supposed to have 12 sons. There had to be this number of 12 pillars of divine light coming into the world. But what happened? Cain killed Abel, and Hashem said no. And it wasn't until Jacob came along and was on the level of Adam before the sin, and he was able to bring the 12 tribes into the world who are all Sadiqim. So a lot of my life work is really going deeply into what this Shefa, what is this effluence of light, particularly No, we're not talking about Sphirot right now. We're talking about channels of light, although there are Sphirot that compose the spiritual substance of this. I understand it takes time to understand this because it took me 12 years to write my first book.
12 years.
Yeah. So we're going to go slow with this, but just know that there is this phenomena of bringing down, like there had to be 12. There had to be 12 tribes in the world. This was something that was preordained, right? So Israel is the genetic and spiritual inheritors of the souls of these 12 tribes.
12 strands of DNA. That's what people say. They say that there are only 2 are active, but they're 12. Oh, that's so weird.
Wow, interesting.
I've never thought about that till this moment. Okay, yeah. So quick note, you guys. Let's let Nechama Sarah has a complete presentation, which I also have never heard before. So let's hang with it, and then we'll ask our questions. And I'm sure she'll be able to clarify. And just know that the numbers, every number represents certain concepts. 10 spheros, 10 base 10 numbers. There are all kinds of 10s. There are all kinds of 3s. There are all kinds of 4s. There are all kinds of 5s. There's 6 and there's 12. So let's just hang with this, and we'll understand more as we go along.
Yeah, I appreciate your patience because we're building up our model. Okay, so the 12 lines of influence are connected parallel to the 12 months of the year, and according to the Kabbalah, there's 12 Averim, parts of the body, including limbs and organs. Okay, so the work I do on a very deep level works on finding and developing the spiritual function of these limbs, which is reclaiming the soul body connection that we lost when we introduced death to the world through eating from the tree of knowledge, good and bad, where there was a disconnection of the soul and body. Disease is just different degrees of that disconnection, and healing is reconnecting. The Lubavitcher Rebbe says that in the times of redemption, the soul will be receiving its sustenance from the body. So this work that I dedicated most of my life to, and has really incredible healing results, is a work that, just to give you an example, each of the 12 Averim, according to Kabbalah, that's the system that they divide, that's the body is divided by. And each one has a hush, a sense. There's 12 senses. So this month, for instance, is Tammuz. It's a special time of tshuva, of returning to Hashem through one of those pipelines, right? One of our connections, one of the 12, which was and so we deal with our own personal issues by developing our inner sight and it's connected with the right arm. So I developed a system of movements so that we can, when do we, like the letter, there's a letter, okay, each month has a letter. This month is the letter Chet, which is the first letter of Chaim, life, and also Chet, transgression. So when do we do a transgression? When we have tunnel vision, we only see our point of view. And like any issue that we're dealing with is like a dark knot energy that is blocking that flow in our bodies. That translates as disease or potential disease. So by personally working through our own personal issues, it's really important to know that our work is not just egocentric. Okay, I'm going to heal myself. We are actually opening up pipelines of the universe to pump in a divine shefa into the system to keep this world that we are experiencing now full with divine effluence, which is going to eventually translate as a metamorphosis into redemption.
Amen. Obviously, also 12 is the number of directions or lines that creates the three-dimensional universe that we live in, just in case anybody didn't notice that.
Right. So that's the whole idea. This is the
structure of our world.
Shape. Right. That's what the Sefer Yetzirah says. This is the archetypal shape for our world of 3 dimensions plus, time is the 4th dimension.
Right.
So this is exactly what the point is, that everything we do with this inner work of our own issues, which are divinely assigned to us, is helping not only heal ourselves, but we're also part. This is a very basic principle of Kabbalah, that whatever we do has effects in the higher worlds. It's not just about we have short vision here. There's I think it's from the Talmud that says that when a person's ego is rectified, and their midot are rectified, they can actually see 378 nuances of colors. That's how, we have this real potential to open up our vision, especially this month. And the exercises we do with the right arm and dealing with our issues and opening up. I'm not going to read the comments because
I was going to say don't.
Yeah.
Well, I'll track them and we'll make time for the questions.
Yeah, we'll make time for everything, everybody. Okay. So there's this potential to expand our vision and to undo those knots of our issues and the things that are blocking us and stopping us from being part of this scintillating, flowing energy and reclaiming the awareness, the consciousness of our one common soul. Okay, so this is to start with the model. Why are you laughing, Shifra?
Just because somebody sent me a note that made me laugh. I'm so sorry.
Okay. That's okay. It's good to laugh.
Nothing to do with the presentation. Just okay. I'll tell you what this. I have to teach a class at in an hour and 40 minutes. So it was my assistant who said, "Look at the clock," when we went after you said we have time for everything. We have time for a lot. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now the next part of building our Kabbalistic model is attributed to Rabbi Nechama ben Hakana, who was in his tractate The Bahir, and he was a first century master of the Kabbalah. And he takes that inner cube and he expands on it, and each face of the cube becomes a full blown out cube. And there's 6 cubes for each side of the inner cube of Israel. Okay, let's stop for a second. The inner cube of Israel can be reflected, like the Zohar says that Israel is metaphorically like the heart of the world. In another place, it's described as the brain of the world. It's the inner battery. It's our heart. Right. It's the inner battery. And all this, this diagram is all relating to some very organic realities right now, okay? So when we take each side of the inner cube of Israel, here it's in Israel, and expand it, we get 6 times 12, which is 72, which is the 70 nations, God and Israel, okay?
So the middle one is the original cube, and then the 6.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're building our model of relationship on energetic levels right now. Okay, let's just really listen to our deep soul connections, right? And we're building a model of how we can reunify as the original collective soul that we were in the beginning, but on a higher level, having gone through our journeys and our sufferings and all the things we had to go through. We're reaching a higher level of redemption, which we're all of us are here for that reason, right? So this model is from the Bahir, and so we have this potential of cleaning out all of these pipelines of divine energy scintillating through all of humanity's soul, the collective soul. So if we take our model and kind of squish it together, combine them so that all the cubes come together, we get what I call a cosmic diamond. This is the vision. This is the vision we can all have of when everything's rectified, when everybody's vibrating on Geula consciousness, when everybody knows their unique role in the world for bringing Geula, when everybody is in harmony and has gone through the incredible process we're going through of beer war, of clarification. We can bring this down. This is still, we're in a very abstract realm right now, but it's really important that we have a vision to share. This is a universal vision that we can all kind of just by looking at it, knowing that when we're in exile, this collapses and we're the lines are all, flattened out. this is like the vibrating Geula soul humanity.
It is. It's like one of those things one of those pictures that you see in a book where it switches, the inside switches to the outside. It was doing it without you moving it.
Right. And it's really important at this time in our history that we have symbols that we can relate to, but we can all relate to. I know it's complex and we're building it. So
mathematical. I can't believe you did that. This is really amazing.
Well, I had a graphic artist do this, but this was, but actually, I just want to share one more thing before we go into another. This is a cross section of the inner cube that I actually did. It's called the expanding cube, like it's a vibrating expanding cube. This is a cross section of the inner cube of Israel. It's making it more vibrant. Okay, so our consciousness and what we're developing now in the Geula process is really making reality vibrating with this. So this is a very kind of seichelic, intellectual model, but we want to bring it more into reality. So I want to talk first more about what the 70. My second book is Israel in the 70 Dimensions of the World. Okay, so what we want to know what that's about. We throughout our history, like there's such a deep connection between the 12 and the 70. When the temple stood, we had a Sanhedrin who had 70 members. Each one spoke.
Great rabbinical court.
Which each one member had to speak 70 languages. It was always, Israel was aware in her glory of that deep connection between the 12 tribes and the 70 nations. King Solomon in the temple, he would light 10 menorahs with 7 candles each to bring light to the 70 nations.
Which are the core nations of the world, even if there are more countries.
Okay, so there are 70 core nations, that's right, yeah. So there's 70 core nations, and they're derived from the descendants of Noah, okay? And they're the archetypal nations of the world. So there's all these connections. When we descended to Egypt, Mitzrayim, there was 70 core souls of Israel that are connected to the 70 nations. Like there's all these places in Tanakh that we can find this deep connection. So in my book, Israel and the 70 Dimensions of the World, it was an outgrowth of the inner cube. The inner cube, in my journey through the 12 dimensions, I got very connected and aware of the tribe of Dan. In fact, my third book was called The Princess of Dan. And each tribe and month is connected to a Hebrew letter. So Dan was the letter Ayin, which is a gematria of 70. And I really, after I wrote my book, wrote the first book, I just really connected with Dan and the outgrowth. It was like a deeper level of connection with Hashem by going through the gate of Dan. And then when I saw the letter Ayin was, the gate, one of the locks to the gate to Shemayim, to heaven, through the gate of Dan, Ayin is gematria 70. And I really feel that was my next task, was to write about the nations. So the 70, Dan is the tribe of judges. And we need the discretion to know how to relate and to help do clarification with the peoples of the world. I think it was yesterday that Rabbi Singer, like in his amazing work with Christians, it's like on a real human level, he's going out there and he's trying to work through these other lines. He's working with, clarifying people's beliefs. This is what Israel has.
You probably think you said this, and you probably did say this, but I just got it. I think I just got it. You're saying that from the original cube, which is flat, it's 3-dimensional. when we clear the blockages, ultimately it flows to all people.
Yes.
And fleshes out all of the universe into multidimensional consciousness.
Right. It's like, it's beautiful. Like it's flushed.
Wow.
So it's an amazing
Wow.
model. There's so much we can flesh out this model with. And I think, everybody can see how, in this like very pristine universal model, how we can all relate to it and find our place in this hypercube, in this what I call the cosmic diamond, and find out what our particular role is in Geula. So just saying one more thing before I go more into the 70, like when I was really connecting with, and I can still connect with the tribe of Dan, they were the last ones to march in the desert, and they collected the lost objects of the tribes that were ahead of them. And on a deeper meaning, a Hasidic meaning, they helped people who lost parts of their soul reclaim themselves. And my work is a lot about helping people find their tafkid, their goal, their reason, their soul purpose. And it's like this, it was very there's nothing more healing than knowing what your soul purpose is. I wanted to say that. And when our healing system, we start with the dimension of Nisan and Yehuda, and the right leg, and which is connected to speech, true speech. And we do these exercises to really find our soul's voice. And that is the first leading, that's the crown, that's the tribe of kings and queens. And we all need to find our king and queenship. What am I doing in the world? This is really what we need to discover in order to find our particular place. Yeah, in the cosmic diamond. Another thing I want to add before we go more into the 70, I don't know if I'll have time to do everything, but another piece of the cube, the inner cube. What's this inner cube? It's like, for me, I'm a spiritual Zionist. And about 40 years ago, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, I just heard this, like I had just come to Israel, and everybody's saying, the Lubavitcher Rebbe wants you to write in for a blessing to find your true Nachalah, your true land inheritance in Israel. And for some reason, that really spoke to me. And I wrote away for a bracha. And quite later down the line, thank God, we built our house in a place that energetically totally feels like this is where I can carry out my soul purpose.
Where are you?
I'm in near Kever Shimshon, outside of Beit Shemesh, near Kever Dan.
The grave of the son of Jacob, Dan, and of Samson,
whose yard site was just a couple of days ago. And that whenever I bring people to that his grave site, he's the one. This is from where we can pray and get this holy chutzpah, like this. He's connected to the liver and anger and getting the whole I forget who was talking about holy fire. Was it Annie? Yeah. This we all need this holy fire to really have the courage to play out our mission, to face what we need to face. Everyone has to know and choose their battles. Like there's things but not not as a battle as, like a battle of what do I need to change? What do I need to fix in the world? I mean, this is where we're, as a group, and we work together, we really reinforce each other to know what we need to do and go and encourage each other. And we need each other's support, especially we have these amazing women groups to help each other go out and do what we need to do. Okay, so there are spherotic connections with the tribes, for sure. Like Don is connected with Chachma, wisdom. There's a whole system. That's another layer of the 12 pipelines.
Chana has a year-long course, a 12-month course where she goes through everything, including the healing movements on video. So she'll talk about that later, and we'll see what we can get to. My hard stop is going to be about 25 after the hour, because I have which is another almost an hour. Okay. So, yeah. Yes. Also, I just want to say to everybody here, this. Could you hold up that diagram of the fleshed out multidimensional cube? So you guys being here, Nechama said that God and Israel are in the center, which means that the mission, those are the souls that vibrated most with the mission in the midst of a world of chaos. And now by you being here, you're opening the channels through your listening, through your heart, through your prayers, through your receiving, through your internalizing, that you are actually fleshing out the cube from whichever place you came from and whichever place you're meant to influence. So I just want everybody here to know that. People are like, is this for me too? Of course it's for you. Why do you think we're doing it?
Listen, if you have the 12 Abraham, if you have a right arm, a left arm, all of these, we're all human beings, and we all can do this healing as we relate to Israel, the inner cube. And everybody needs to find the relationship to Israel, Jews and non-Jews.
That doesn't only mean the land of Israel, right? That means the mission of Israel and the people of Israel and the souls of Israel, which we were all contained in Adam and Eve. That's what Nechama. I know some people got thrown off by the early times, so there a lot of people came on late, and people are still probably coming on late. But we said it, and Nechama said in the beginning, we were all, according to the Arizal, the Alter Rebbe, the first Rebbe of Chabad, says it also, that we were all in the original Adam and Eve, and we're all like cells in that body. So everybody was intrinsically and is intrinsically part of the one. That's what Nechama started out to say. And she also said that by doing the learning and the work and so forth, whereas in others and this whole process of redemption that we're in, we are, how did you say, we're vibrating to that deeper level of our one soul?
Yes.
That's okay.
So this is like kind of the map that we're hoping to reach, where we're all vibrating with the awareness of a creator, one God, our message. And like that we know how in the world, and a lot of us was inspired, a lot of Jewish people like myself, I got a lot of inspiration from other disciplines, and brought me into maybe transcendental realizations, but I needed the vessels of the Torah, the structure, to really contain the light in a healthy way, so that it be life-giving and life-supporting. So this is the dialogue that Israel needs to do with the world. We need to look at, we have to honor each other's belief systems, and dialogue with them, and gently try to help each other, because your beliefs are your essence. And we really need to first look at our own beliefs, like this. Okay, I just want to introduce something. I know there's a lot I'm giving, and then we're going to have time for questions. But the second book is another inner journey, because I said before, we all have all 70 nations in us. And we all have Israel in us, just at different degrees. And this book is about going through there's 7 major exiles, which are the core of the 70 nations. According to Arizal, there's 7 major exiles. They're parallel to the different sphero. In this system, like we'll start with the exile of Egypt is parallel to Keter, our belief system. So on an individual journey level, again, like in the inner cube, we were doing inner work, working through our issues, working through our suffering and pain and everything, and using the 12 tribes to flush out and change our awareness, change our consciousness, so that we can become tubes of flowing consciousness and enlivening the universe by our own personal tikkuning that we've done. Okay, now there's another level, another layer with bringing us to the awareness of that cosmic diamond, yeah? So this book is about, each chapter is different exile and reconciling our relationship to these exiles, okay?
Hold it up again, please. People are asking to see it again.
Israel.
So you're saying that we were under the exile, the Jewish people were under the exile of each of seven different core nations that represented 7 different heroes. Well, I'm wondering why it wouldn't be 70 times 10, obviously. I mean, 7 times 10.
Well, so in this system, the Arizal explicitly says that you'll see how it as it unfolds. Okay, so like the exile of Mitzrayim, of Egypt, is connected to Keter, which is a superconscious level of the soul, which is our belief system. So Egypt can generally be understood as like the background we come from. We're all in constricted states when we're, in a place of immaturity. We're in a home with certain projections and ideas and philosophies, or we're exposed to culture milieu that has many different beliefs and value systems. And as we mature and as we come to the Torah, and we can reconcile who we're becoming and what, and extrapolate the light, there's good things from what we can bring along with us. And we're having this dialogue of clarification within ourselves. So this is like on an inner level, we're doing our own healing and reconciliation with who we were and where we came from. And at the same time, we're also opening up and exploring different belief systems that the nations might be representing, and that they need to relook at what their relationship is to Israel in relationship to their belief system. So for instance, okay, you have like very, many situations, many, Jewish, especially Jewish souls, but all wandering souls, searching souls will go to, God forbid, wind up in a cult because like there's some spiritual leader who's like, wow, just magnetically taking you to places, but they don't have the connection with the Torah. And so there's a morality missing. And so there's a real sorrow happening, a klipa. There's all these different situations.
Many of the most spiritual people I know and who are actually now spiritual leaders did go through ashrams also, just saying.
Right, exactly. And so the positive part of that, and then is that it opens parts of your soul up to be able to understand the Kabbalah more deeply. Because we need to go into Panini's Torah, we need the boost, like what do you call it, as a starter of transcendentalness. And like if we can be, we have our own gullus we have to work through. But you can have the most moral, straight, halakhic person, but not spiritual. And like it needs to go together. And so sometimes that's why we had to go out to the nations and get that spark of from the world of Tohu, from that transcendental place, and then translate it back into our system. So the Kabbalah has the maps to the higher worlds. We have an incredible, detailed, we call it Seder Hishtalshalut. We learn about how God, from his infinite light created worlds and went through different spherotic and partsufim, different configurations of consciousness that combined, and we are the human analog of these higher worlds, right? So I don't want to bring too much. There's a lot of deep concepts that we can weave together as we are trying to share our common quest of unity and honoring each other's uniqueness. And that's what's really important. And it has to be done, just breathe into our hearts from love. Like it's really the inner heart of the inner cube is really our heart. It's our love. We have to do it with love, and we have to do it with discretion, like the tribe of Dan, the judges. We have to, we have some really amazing brothers, spiritual brothers and sisters, rabbis who are like, know how to plow through and say, hey, you're off, and gently bring people back to track. Because everybody wants the truth, and we have to be patient, and we have to help each other get out of the klipot, like the externalities and the things that were off, that was blocking the light of oneness, that was a result of our historical beginnings of our souls, and this whole complex combination of Adam and Hava and Adam Belial that we're all trying to sort through, so that we can just all vibrate together and radiate together with awareness that there is a creator, and there's who wants a relationship with us, and that we are the Israel is the messenger of that. We through Abraham and Sarah, Yitzhak and Rivka and Jacob and Rachel and Leah and Bilhah and Zilpah, they were carrying that torch of relationship. So the Israel is in the direction of tikkun, of rectification. So just going back to the inner cube now. So the inner cube, like this month, say we're sitting on the floor in the middle of the cube. So the right arm would be, say, maybe up here. Like just imagine, there's no sort of which one is which, right? But the right arm is Tammuz. It's Reuven. Reuven was the first child of Jacob and Leah, and he was a Gilgal. He was an incarnation of Hevel, and
Abel.
I'm sorry. He was a reincarnation of Cain. He killed his
Okay.
brother. Yeah.
Wow.
So why can we do tshuva with the energy of Reuven? Because how did he fix it? He saved his brother's life in his lifetime. In his spark of his soul that was Cain, he killed his brother. So jealousy. And
Wow.
but Reuven, in as we know from the Torah, he is the one who put his neck out and saved Joseph from being killed from the brothers. He took him out of the pit. That was a huge turnaround from murder to saving.
Right.
That was like one of the things that we can learn about Reuven. There's many other things that give us this power of tshuva, the power to return, the power to change our triggers, to stop those negative patterns in ourselves. That's what we're working on now this month, especially. There's patterns that we want to break through. So that's like going back to the inner cube, right?
Yeah.
Of Reuven. So again, there's
Does Don somehow specifically represent the inner cube, or more represent the inner cube? But does Don specifically? You don't have to answer this now if you don't want to. I want your material is amazing. I don't want to. But the inner cube, is Don more in the center? You said he's the last one.
No, if anyone's in the center, it would be Levi and the Kohanim. This is like, we also are reflecting how we were in the desert. Yeah. Camped around.
The way the camps are set up.
Right.
Okay.
And Levi and was in the middle.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, but Don is one of these lines. Yeah. And he's the gate. He was the last one. He's the gate to the nations, to being able to relate to the nations. We all have that ability to, and now, especially the more we're immersed in the Torah, to like look back or look and say, wow, that's interesting. And that might be off, like we can dialogue. And that's what's really important.
Discernment. We're rectifying the truth. We're taking all the light that we've all had in our soul journeys and other systems and our unconscious traumas and stuff, and working together to rectify it and to create more clarity, channels to the truth.
Right, exactly. And that's a real Don energy. And so each chapter in this book, is like a reconciliation, and each one can be kind of connected. I'm starting to build up this model more. I've been mostly working on the first book, the inner cube, but now it's from Shemayim, from heaven, that you asked me to be in the summit, and I really felt it was time to bring this more into light, which it's kind of been sitting around waiting for that to happen. So I'm really glad you did that, because I think it's time for it to come out and to share that. So just one more example, okay? So back to our diamond, okay? So say there's the exile of Babel, the Babylon.
Babylon, yeah. Babylon.
And that's parallel to the Chachman Bina, to the mind sphere.
Oh, Bilbu, wow.
Bilbu. So what do we do?
That's the mind control that we're being subjected to now.
Right, exactly. So
wow.
we have to preserve the gift of free choice that we paid a big price for free choice, right? Yeah. That's our claim, to be able to come to the redemption in the right way, in the full way. We're not taking away anyone's free choice. We don't yank people in to be Jews. We're offering them, and we're told that there'll be more converts at the time of redemption. And we're opening our hearts, our arms, anything we've learned to share in a way that was never shared before. I mean, there was a time when this Kabbalah was only not even shared by the Jewish people. It was only a small group, and now it's given to all of us, and we're giving it to whoever we can give it to, who wants it. And so we're really being open. So back to Babel is from the word bilbul, confusion. So I just kind of made this connection in the model, like, who's going to straighten out the bilbul? Which tribe? Yisachar. Yisachar sat in the tent, and all he did is learn Torah all day long. Mm-hmm. And then what do we have? What's the Babel? It could be part of. And again, all of this is within us, but it's also reflected outside of us. Until we fix the things inside of us, it won't change outside, right? So all of this is an inner journey, inner work. This is the principle of Kabbalah. When we fix what's inside, then things outside gets fixed. So say with Bavel, it's all the philosophies and all these narratives that people are buying. There's a lot of confusion in the world, and it's frightening, and it's life-threatening, and it's dangerous. And we need to dialogue with this and bring the Torah knowledge into light and to break through the klipa, the externalities and the negativities of philosophies that are anti-life, So that's this another example. And we have to do that with inside ourselves. So we have to really, look inside. What is our modus operandi? What is our thoughts? What's really, how is that connected to
what inner narratives are confusing us? What inner programs we're subjecting our free will to?
Exactly.
Wow. And this, I just have to say, this is the core of what came into being when Adam and Eve, all of us, ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Good and evil got confused. The bilbul happened.
Right.
So everything was mixed in together and people couldn't discern.
Right. Wow. And that's why Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov and Sarah, they started bringing the light down to the clarity. And that's our divine mandate. That's our divine assignment. Each one of us has a divine assignment. And we each have to find our particular place in the cosmic diamond. If you're not a Jew, but you believe like this resonates with you, and the Torahs you've been hearing resonates with you. So, I'd love to hear what comes to you. What is your place in this whole scheme? Or we can dialogue.
People want to know how to find their place. People.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's, the inner work I do with the, first with the 12 dimensions, and then as I'm coming more now into the book of the reconciliation of exiles, which dialogues with the 12 dimensions. That's what the work I do is really, that's the healing. As I said before, that's the key to healing, to know your soul purpose. I'm telling you, look at Shifra, you are shining in your role of what you are doing, the light and the people you're bringing together. Obviously you're connecting with your soul purpose, and everyone who can do that, then everything, all the other organs, all the other kochot, all of the other powers in our soul align with that. So that's our first step, is to know what our soul purpose is.
My soul purpose is redemption, but I think that everybody's soul purpose is redemption on some
level. Right. So then we have, exactly.
Coaching, mentoring, speaking, creating art. And I would say, it has to do with what your chushim, to use the Hebrew word, what your talents are, what your desires are. I say this all the time in my work. And what you don't want in the world is or in yourself or your life is what needs healing. And that is, you're given that. You are created with that so that you can heal it. Obviously, that is your mission.
Right. So sometimes people need help, like getting that clear and how to carry out that mission. Well, that's when we can help, is to help you. How do you carry it to, everybody has difficult battles. We have to choose, our mission is connected to what our battle is. Is it justice? Is it this? There's a lot of things that, we can not waste time and energy, but we can talk about things, but unless we can do something about it, maybe not even put your energy there, because we really only have so much energy that Hashem gives us. And we want to focus it on what we can do to be effective in the world. So that's really
power.
It really
by the klipa of Bavel, that confusion. Don't be seduced out of your power and what you're here to do and what you are able to do.
Right? Exactly. So when the more we're aware of all these different forces and energies that are inside of us, we're still purifying ourselves as we try to metamorphose into the light bodies that we are destined to become, and to reclaim this immortal level of being, however that plays out and whatever that means. But that's the healing. At least is what the life we're given. We should have a healthy, vibrant, sympathetic life, a joyful life as we vibrate, and our soul becomes an expression through our body. Our body just expresses our soul, and rather than having those dark knots and those blockages and those, stagnant places of energy that turn into disease, God forbid. So I really am concerned about, all of us, all humanity. And then I'm focusing more on women right now. And my fourth book, God willing, is going to deal more with the Kabbalah and the Arizal and the feminine. That's another story. Anyway, so this is basically a framework, and ultimately I just kind of made a 72 string harp with everybody finding their real tune and their nigun, their tune, and the
Wait a second. Bring that back, please. You said
the harp,
the smaller line, the lines of connection between the hypercube is 72. I don't know if that might not be true.
Well, actually, it's the 12 strings and then the 60, so it comes to 72. Yeah.
The 12 strings of this equals. I didn't even catch that there are 10 extensions of the 6 lines.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I have to like count that again. I'm sorry, I should have like prepared that better. But it's basically a model that there Hazal say the Mashiach will be able to help each person find their nigun, their tune. Everybody's going to know how, what their true vibration is.
Wow.
That's kind of like the vision I had with this. I don't know exactly how it, the models fit together, but basically that's the idea, that we're going to be all vibrating to the notes that are appropriate to each one of us, and we're going to make a symphony of the redemption together. And that's the goal. It's very, I've had a lot of abstract ideas, but I have very practical methods to do this healing based on these models.
And it's very body oriented.
Yes. I mean, when I teach, I normally sit on the ground and I give over very deep Pnimis Torah, but I make sure that everybody's weaving it into their body movements and
in accordance with the lines and the months. Yeah. It's kind of amazing. You know what? I would like you to talk about your program briefly, at least, and then to take questions, unless you have another piece.
Yes, I would love to take questions at this point. I'm sure there's one of my
questions is, what are the 7 exiles that you're talking about in the book? What are the 7 you said?
All 7? Okay, so
Keter, you said Mitzrayim, Egypt.
Right. And then Baba,
the
mind. And then Persia and Media are the right and left arms. Greece is the torso, Tiferet, and the right leg is Edom. The left leg is Ishmael. And that leaves us, that's 7, and that leaves us with Yesod, which is Mashiach ben Yosef, and Malchut Mashiach ben David. Once we reconcile,
so all of our history is in our body.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh.
It's so powerful. So once we reconcile all and do all the birur on all of these 7 exiles, then we can bring Mashiach ben Yosef, Mashiach ben David, and this is it.
Can you quickly, off the top of your head, just say what we had the Egypt was, I guess, an exile of desire and faith and
just for instance, I want to give you of Egypt, right? This is our collective psyche. Like we have these like unconscious archetypes. Like, so Mitzrayim, one thing that really comes to me is they believed that they could take their material goods with them to the next world. They'd even bury their wives with them.
You're so right.
If we don't really like dig that out, like we can't have a healthy relationship with materialism. Rabbi Nachman says we come to this world to fix 3 things: our relationship to food, materialism, and sexuality. So if we look at the Egypt,
the grand illusion that this is the real world, that this is as it is now, that's the core illusion.
Yeah.
That belief that that I have to gather everything I can.
So we still have that Egypt exile in us. We have to uproot that. And so our tzedakah, our charity, will flow more and we'll have the rectified relationship with materialism, rather than taking your slaves and taking your gold and putting it in your grave. I mean, that's so anti-Torah.
Which is why I guess the Jewish people had to empty out Egypt in order for Egypt to be redeemed. So they took that materialism out and took it to Mount Sinai to be used for. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, and then the mind, the confusion, the narratives, then just continue with the other 5 if you don't mind, and then we'll.
There's a lot to say of each one. It's like each one's a
No,
big.
no.
It's each one's a big chapter. I'm just trying to. So let's go to Greece, okay?
Okay.
Like so the Greeks had amazing contribution of the sciences and medicines and everything, but Noah gave to his son Japhet, who was the progenitor of Greece. He said he blessed him to dwell in the tents of Shem, meaning that his chachma, his wisdom, needs to be sitting in the tents of the Torah. So when you think of like just medicine, right? The Greeks were really good at objectifying the body, making, we all know the limits of allopathic medicine, right? And but we can't take the body separate from the soul and just treat it as a machine. We all know that. We've all experienced negative parts of Western medicine, and we, of course, it's positive too. So that's just an example of bringing the sparks of wisdom and having them balanced with the wisdom of the body and the soul of the Torah. That's just another example. Each one has its, so that's a whole teaching in itself, each chapter, and to go deeply into how you relate to that reconciliation, so to help you go back into the inner cube. Everything is everybody has to go back to their place, their inner cube. So my inner cube, as I started saying before, is like my Nachala, my land inheritance in Eretz Yisrael. When I'm here, I thank God I live in the Garden of Eden. I mean, like I go hiking in the woods that are surrounding my house every morning. And, today I was surrounded by a herd of goats. There's a Bedouin shepherd. I mean, it's like nifla. It's like amazing. It's like really, I mean, and but you can't forget, like Hashem gave me this gift because the world is suffering, not everybody is privileged to have this amazing place to be, but Eretz Yisrael is, for the, when we come back, we gather back, and we are all under our olive trees, we're all under our, in our place, our soul is able to do the most deepest work in the Geula process. So everybody needs to find their place, and really their power spot, like the last year I was writing my book, The 12 Dimensions of Israel. Every month I went to the land inheritance of each tribe and wrote and, painted in poetry. And I really vibed into the healing energy of each part of Eretz Israel, of the land of Israel. Every place has this specific healing energy. And I have a vision of to have healing centers for each tribal place, like the true justice system. Sorry. System in the tribe of Dan, and Asher, the true great way of eating the right way in rectification. Each tribe has what to give the world. So whatever. So that's the strength of the inner Israel. But we all can all benefit from going deeper into what these 12, what I call dimensions, because it's not just the 12 tribes. It's really the soul of the tribes, but understood through these different facets.
Yeah. Wow. Unbelievable. Okay. So can you quickly talk about your program just so people know, and what's also linked up underneath the website, underneath the video? This is a 12-month program for women only. Do women have to have a certain background, or are you accepting any woman?
No, as long as you're dedicated to the work, you can, and if you have this inclination, spiritual inclination, we'd love to have you. And I really want to give over this therapy that I developed over like more than 20 years that is very effective. And so it's like a training program. It's once a week for 12 months. And you really learn techniques to, like, for instance, this month, we're really changing patterns, negative behavioral patterns through the movements and the expansion of sight. And that's very superficial. It's much deeper than that, like to really try to explain it. But we walk away with techniques like right before, I got onto this webinar, just to get rid of those negative voices, those negative energies of, that are trying to hurt my self-confidence or just whatever, like we all have these,
We all have them.
we have all this, the stuff that we can really change, shift once we learn these methods, because Hashem wants us to be happy and to just there's so much joy in just sharing this with you. It's really, I appreciate you, even anyone who's listening, to take the time to share my inner world, because it's lonely not sharing it.
Yeah.
It's really
what you're born for. That's when you're doing what you're born for, even if it's just, I shouldn't say just, but at least half the work I do is private. It's between me and God. And I feel like that is my core mission. And then I have more, insights, more clarity, more flow, more reach, more, the circumstances change. It's, we're here to do the ultimate healing now. That's the path.
right.
Okay, so you guys, questions. There were questions before which we didn't take. So I can scroll back, and again, you find out more. I know there's an introductory video on the webpage. Just click the link after the call, please, to check out more about Nechama Sarah's program, Women Only. It's an amazing program. And again, if I know we changed the time to 10 Eastern today because I have a class at 12 to teach. So not part of the summit. So I know a lot of people missed the beginning, and in the beginning, I said I have a very, very close friend who has been working with Nechama Sarah for a long time through her classes and is in the program, and tells me that it's magnificently, powerfully healing, not only emotionally, but physically. So just wanted to say that. Yeah, it's all mind-blowing. It's really mind-blowing what you've uncovered here. It's quite mind-blowing. So I'm scrolling here, but should I ask the questions? Let's see if they're new. Repost your question if you still have it, because I think many things.
Yeah, by the way, I should put my email down or something, because I have the books in my possession if anyone wants.
So people order directly from you and you send them? Can you send them outside of Israel? I know. Are they in books?
I can. I have been trying to ship them to America, but I'm going to start doing more of that. If there's enough requests, I'll just, to see. Okay. It's a bit of a seaport to get to the post office these days. You have to have an appointment,
Oh, really?
But anyway, that's okay. If anyone wants a book, I'll get it to them.
Wow. So can you type your email in the chat?
I'll post the email.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay,
yeah, but I just wanted to add one more thing. You had a theme about co-creator, like this when we really vibrate with the inner cube, the way I've spoken about, that's really co-creating with Hashem. And just like the Egyptian exile, like when we talked about the Egypt, like Abraham and Sarah, when they went down to Egypt, Abraham said to Sarah, "Tell them you're my sister." That's like when we have relationships that are locked into these constricted roles, that's exile. We want to come to the passionate relationship with Hashem. There's different levels of relationship with Hashem, in Shira sharing, you see them brother and sister. We have like the in Rosh Hashanah, master and slave, all these different nuances of relationship. We want to come to Anila Dodi Badodi Li, the passionate relationship, the beloved relationship. And I feel like this is really a way to do it, because we're taking responsibility for healing with the tools that Hashem is giving us, and He's wanting us to come to Him through these tools.
It's amazing. So I see that I went back and scrolled through, and a lot of the questions you already answered. Most of the questions, just like you said, things would be understood organically. I'm just seeing if there's the exile in South Africa. I don't know. Oh, South America. I don't know how to answer that question, except to say, maybe you want to say something about it. I could say something about it.
What was the question? I don't see it.
Cleo is asking, where's the exile in South America? During 1492, many Jews settled there. Many of them, some of them don't even know they're Jews. This is part of the journey of the soul and the mystery of this divine sparks that we have. Souls have been sent all over the world in order to elevate these sparks. What is a divine spark? It's God hiding in some physical or emotional or interactional place that through your life you encounter that place. And when you find God there, you're elevating the spark, also through Torah and mitzvahs. So that's one of the mysteries of the exile, that the souls of Israel were sent all over, including into non-Jewish bodies sometimes, in order to, keep the Torah or find the Torah, and against all odds.
Yeah, extract the sparks from out of that consciousness of Adam Belial, of like without a yoke. That's the consciousness of the exile, that we're trying to extract the sparks from that, and everybody will come and recognize there's a creator who wants a relationship with us. And that's when the Geula will come, when that's in revelation for everyone. So that's, the exile is not an easy process, and we want it to hasten the redemption as much as we can with these tools so that we can stop. We're all here because we don't want any more suffering. We don't want any more wars. We don't want to see our loved ones die, and we don't want to see them die prematurely from disease.
Or at all. The body is to be permanent, upgraded and permanent. Like you said, the soul, the body. People did ask, somebody asked, how is it that the body and the soul gets its energy, will get its energy from the body in redemption? Do you want to talk about that? Or I could say something if you don't want to.
We can both say something, but basically the work I do, Hashem is giving us a specific divine message through each one of these major 12 Avarim parts of the body. And the more we listen to it and cultivate what is the spiritual function of that part of the body, the more the body actually becomes a vehicle for giving sustenance to the soul rather than hiding the soul. So the soul becomes like able to use the body as a vehicle of expression rather than being hidden by it.
Right. Yeah. Also, the body, according to Chabad Hasidus, the body comes from divine essence. It's like that whole quantum level that exists and doesn't exist. So that's the source of the body, whereas the soul is divine light. So essence is the beingness, and light is the shining from the beingness. So that in exile, our essence is hidden from us in order to accomplish this work of tikkunim, of rectification, elevating the sparks, proving the truth of the soul, of the Torah, by never letting it disappear or change, no matter how many people or nations try to wipe it out and us out and all of that, and ultimately changing the nature of nature till we find ourselves where we are now, where there's the great ingathering that everybody's participating in. But that's why we're seeing more. Now the body's true nature is being more revealed. Like, think about your ability to read energy. A lot of people here are healers, and you can muscle test with your body, and your body knows things that your mind doesn't know. And this is just one little example. But as the body upgrades, as we continue on, the body will carry essence, and also because of the body, we're able to relate to God's experience. The soul cannot relate to God's experience. In that love relationship, we have a shared essence with God at the very, very core. The soul is like basking in the light. That was the state of the Garden of Eden. The soul, Adam and Eve, basking in the light. But what do we have to contribute here? But now, by being in a body, by being in exile, that's where our free choice comes. That's where our ability to elevate sparks. And we are, in a sense, creating our divine reality where we can impact all of the universe, just like God impacts all of the universe, where we can feel like the center of the world, the center of our own cube, like God is the center of the world. That's something a disembodied soul, none of it can the disembodied soul do. That's just a little bit on the body.
Right. I want to say one more thing that you just remind me of. We learn, Pri Sadik brings it down, that Abraham and Sarah learned the whole Torah through their kidneys. They lived before the actual giving of the Torah. Like they were able through their kidneys to do that birur, that clarification of what was good, what was bad. And Yissachar, the tribe of Yissachar, the Torah scholars, is related to, it's connected, it's parallel to the right kidney. And so if you have built, so go back to the nations, right? The philosophies, the narratives, the bilbul, right? The confusion is when you have weak kidneys. You have to strengthen your kidneys. You have to strengthen that Yissachar birur. So it's all like we see how the weak kidneys can make bilbul, confusion in the mind. So all of this is so organic. It's so connected. And we see, the model can be expanded and detailed more, and we are all invited to delve into it. I mean, we have to, with the guidelines of the Torah, we can build this model. So it's infinite, but we are all one body ultimately. So where does, what parts of the extension of the body of these 12 major
autoimmune disorder. Well,
With
one
that.
body with autoimmune disorder, where the parts are turned against the other parts. We can't recognize who is our friend and who is our enemy.
Wow.
Is this me? Is this not me? Yeah, that's really the ultimate clarification, I think. So people want to know about the chakras, and there was one other thing that what is the Kabbalistic model? Is there any Kabbalistic model of the chakras? I also want to know, have you experienced with your students physical healings that have surprised you? And I'd like to know a little bit about that if you have. And just one quick answer: the transition to Geula has 100% already begun, and according to all authorities, it began in around 1992, and so we're well in. They've only gone predicted that time 1991, 92. The Lubavitcher Rebbe announced that it had begun at that time, and it's there. I think there's pretty little to no dispute about it by now. So there's something that this is a process of our developing the vessels and the connections and the knowledge and the desire to be able to draw in that energy and reveal it through these, like you're saying so amazingly, Nechama, through these lines, and developing our own cubes and our place in the whole and connection to the Torah. So this is a big deal, you guys. This is a big deal. This is the rectification of the world. That's why this topic is Kabbalistic model for world peace. It's not a joke, and it doesn't take that many people, because it's God, God is waiting to flow it in already. It's here. Just have to start revealing it. Like homeopathy, right? Homeopathy catches a vibration, a higher vibration it catches a cell, and then the cell catches another cell, and the cell catches another cell. It doesn't take a lot to shift the entire body, but it takes that correct vibration of enough.
Beautiful.
Together. Okay. So the chakras and the healing, and then
we like kind of stick to our sources. This is the one of my charts of the Sefirot. Okay, and we see that there's 12 diagonals. This is another piece of the 12 edges of the cube. So like these are just different energy systems. Okay, I think you can make a parallel. I mean, I don't really know in depth the chakra system, but because I trust the vessels of the Torah and the Kabbalah, I like to work with these the energy systems of the Sefirot.
And that's what people are asking, if there's a model that does that. So the Sefirot model.
Yes, the Sefirot model. There's, we have a lot to, gain from the nations, like Chinese medicine is, like meridians and, healing through that is,
right.
The Lubavitcher Rebbe was very open to that kind of healing. And so there's certain things that we can give a kosher heksha, that's good. But the energy is a very, vast subject, and we have to be careful how we use it. We have to be careful how we travel through the higher worlds, because we have maps. We have maps how to go there. And if you go off the map, you can get into very negative energies that can really disrupt
powerful forces that will be destructive instead of constructive. That's the bottom line.
That's why we need the Torah.
And each other in this structure that you're laying out in front of us. This superstructure allows us to take that higher light that Nechama of Tohu that Nechama mentioned in the beginning, and bring it into our current vessels that are grounded and healthy, so that this is the Rebbe actually said that we have to bring Geula in a manner of the lights of Tohu, that higher unbounded world that doesn't recognize creator, but that is infinite passion light, and into the vessels of Tikkun. So we basically have to be natural, supernatural, finite, infinite, individual God. It's the ultimate merging of all of those things. Separate together, ultimately separate and unique, ultimately together. And that's also a fractal. That's individual, that's nations. Okay. Any examples of what you've seen in your students? I want to give people a vision of that. Like what's happened.
On emotional levels and on physical levels, both. I've seen amazing shifts. I mean, just one thing that just comes to mind was somebody came to me with like real pain in their right leg. And we really went to the Yehuda dimension, which is the right leg. And she wasn't she, until then, she wasn't connecting. She wasn't walking or talking. She wasn't connecting with really what her soul wanted to do. She was pushing herself in a direction with a particular shidduch, actually, if this was the case. And like her body was telling her to stay away. And we had to work it through, and the pain went right away. Like,
Wow.
Yeah, it was like, that's just one example. In terms of, like the work we're doing in what I call our sacred circles, big shifts in reclaiming your malchut, your queenship, your self-esteem, getting out of abusive interactions, shifting those really toxic levels of relationship. That's like huge. And that's what the Shekhinah is coming. We're all parts of the Shekhinah, the divine feminine presence coming out of exile. And that's really, we help each other, honor each other's stories as being a different variation of the same major theme of the Shekhinah coming out of exile. And we help each other shift from these negative, life-threatening dynamics and come to wholeness and vibration. So, there's a lot of great things.
Have you seen any resolution of like life-threatening illness or chronic illness? I don't know, autoimmune arthritis.
There was one person who was working with us, and there was liver problems, and she was okay. She was okay. I can't say it's only because of me, but like she was working through things, and her liver showed okay medically in the end.
Wow.
So,
yeah, nothing ever about any one thing, but sometimes there's the one missing piece that one thing or one modality will provide. That right. Final piece. We're all putting together massive numbers.
Yeah, of right. We're all trying.
Yeah, so true. Okay. Wow. Wow. I'm sorry I have to run. One final question. Is there one final question? This has been amazing, Nechama. Really, really, really amazing. I'm so gratified and happy and excited to get to know more about your work. So innovative and so multidimensional. So
thank you. It's a joy. It's a joy sharing it. I really love it. And I really thank you with all my heart for inviting me here.
My honor and pleasure. Okay. Take care, everybody. We have one more call that is pre-scheduled. That's with YY Jacobson tonight at 5 Eastern. That's 12 Israel time. So, but there will be replay in case there was misunderstanding. I think the automatic sign up email said that the replays are up for 48 hours. That's not true. They've been up all week. Sorry about that. We need to change that email, and we're going to open replay week tomorrow, which means there will be an entire additional week. So you can please invite your friends. They can start from the beginning. Plus we're adding an amazing panel discussion on next Wednesday, speakers to be announced. Anyway, thank you so much, Nechama Sarah. It's just really, again, it's so funny because I met you in person in Nachlaot in Jerusalem. Right. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, for a minute. And I didn't really know much about you, or even that you were the author of the books that I'd seen, and but you don't know this, but I had not done any summits for quite a few years, since 2014 at that time. So this was 2020 or 2019. And I saw you and I thought, you know what, I could host a summit and have her and other people like her and give them more of a platform. And then nothing, it didn't happen until now, but I just want you to know that was one of the first thoughts that I had, if not the first, about redoing summits after a long hiatus. So glad it's come to fruition, and onward and forward.
Thank you. And Kala Kavod, you're doing amazing work, and this is Geuladik. So.
And everybody just shine up yourself and start shining your light and doing your healing, and know that you're part of it. Learn Torah. That's what's available now. And that's the solution to everything. And we're all part of it. Okay. Take care, everybody. Check out Nechama's program, and we'll see you later today.